We got to start that again because I hadn't
Okay.
even hit the live button.
Okay.
What's
Sure.
wrong with
No
me?
worries.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's special episode of Hey Sister. Hey sister, how you doing?
Well, again, this is what happens when you're on hiatus. Your mind is not ready to begin, but sometimes the topics of the day call for a conversation to be had. So I am doing well and looking forward to this conversation, especially with our beautiful guest, Becky, who's with us. Yes.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
hey,
So
hey.
we are so excited. So our Hey Sister fans, y'all know we're on hiatus. Some of y'all will probably pick this up in the replay because you're like, they're not even supposed to be on yet. They said they will come back September 18th, and it is the 4th. What y'all doing? Okay.
Right.
But
Mhm.
the news of the day, we just could not wait. But we're so excited to have this guest with us tonight because she is our favorite preacher's kid. Yes, we go back way, way back. We are
Yes.
excited to have Miss Rebekah Brumfield with us tonight. Becky, tell the people who you are and um yeah, just tell the people who you are and what you're doing because you're doing a lot of things, girl.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me to be a part. My name is Rebekah Brumfield. I am a little bit of everything. I'm a preacher's kid. I'm a mom. I'm a social media personality. Now I'm a radio personality, and I still have my 9 to 5. So I do a little bit of everything, but I am definitely, most importantly, I am grateful to these two young ladies who helped kind of raise me a little bit as a little tyke. My first babysitters, really. So I just want to say thank you guys for inviting me to be a part of this show. Guys, I love you guys so much. Y'all are so awesome.
Oh, same here.
The
Same
feeling
here.
is mutual. So yeah, we growing up attended Allen Chapel AME Church in Thibodaux, Louisiana,
Hmm.
and Rebecca's father was the pastor there. I can't remember the year exactly because I'm not going to date myself all the way, but I still was in high school at the time.
It was the
And
late 80s.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He did a really good job of getting all of us really involved. So y'all
Hmm.
know if y'all been to YPD, drop it in the comments if y'all know about the YPD. Okay.
YPD.
Yeah. So we were very active and involved in the YPD and did the
Yes.
camps and all the things. And we Becky and her younger brother, we both had the opportunity to babysit them a few times. So that tells you like we go way, way back.
Yes.
And then when they left and moved to Baton Rouge, as y'all know, the AMP church will move people around. We were
Hmm.
so just heartbroken. But I will say that Becky did not mention that she is also a Southern Jaguar. So
I
she,
Come
am.
on.
Yes.
Don't do that. Because I
Yes.
don't do that for the Xavier rights. I let them
Right.
all do their thing when they come up on the show.
Yes. I am a graduate of the Southern University, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Thank you.
that's
Thank
right.
you.
I'm gonna let y'all Jags have it tonight. The
Thank
Jags got
you.
it
Yes.
tonight. But when so yesterday Becky made a post about Honk For Jesus, Save Your Soul, and she said that September's not starting off too good because I know the Christians out there they today's Beyonce birthday, so shout out to Beyonce. But y'all is having some issues with this church girl out here.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah,
now Becky, the folks don't know you have roots in New Orleans.
I do. I do.
Yes. So what did you think when you first heard Church Girl?
I didn't really listen to it until maybe like a week later because I like Beyonce, but I'm not a fan like that. Like I don't have to rush and listen to what she drops immediately. And then because I'm on social media all day, I'm reading comments, I'm seeing reviews, I'm seeing a lot of the reels and all of these different things like that. So when I did take a chance to listen, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, so it's not my kind of church girl, but but she wasn't talking about me. She was talking about some other kind of girls. But I mean, it was it's the I didn't think it was wrong. Like the Saints were trying to condemn her because it was a sample from Twinkie Clark's songs with her sisters, the Clark sisters. And so I think people have to remember Beyonce is an R&B pop artist. So it's not going to be a gospel song. Like she's not going to be saying, "Hey, get your Bibles, go to Bible study." Like that's not her thing. Like that's not what the song is going to be about at any point for her. So I just felt like they kind of sent into overkill, and I think that they were going so hard behind it for the Clark sisters' sake, where the Clark sisters were like, "Well, hey, once we got our check, it's up to you. It's above me now."
Listen, I'm so happy you said that because I just looked up the writers because my sister and I were talking about the writers. For us, we hear DJ Jimmy, right? That's what I hear.
Yes.
I didn't even know the Clark sisters was sampled in there. So now that I'm looking at the writers, I see Elbernita Clark Terrell, but Jimmy Stephen Payton or DJ Jimmy has a writing credit. James Brown has a writing credit. I would have to really listen again to hear what that is. So I think to your point, Becky, I'm just amazed that how much of the song has this sample in it. Is it like because maybe my Clark sister anthology isn't, maybe I'm missing.
It wasn't a song that was very popular. It wasn't like a "You Brought the Sunshine" or "He's My Living in Vain." It wasn't one like that. I think you have to be like a serious Clark sister fan to know kind of like a B-side track of the album song like that. It wasn't anything that I immediately recognized when I did go to listen to the original version.
So which means you also have to be listening to Beyonce real tough.
Yeah.
To have pulled that out, which I think that was
the title. It was the title, Church Girl.
Oh, that was, they wanted to see what she was talking about.
Yeah, it was the title that was the clickbait.
Aha. Well, I know there was a minister who did a whole bunch of, he had a whole sermon about her, selling her soul to the devil. What happened?
Juanita Bynum did a whole sermon about not listening to, you shouldn't be listening to secular music as well. And I'm like, I need all of y'all to sit down.
All the seats.
Every single one of them. A stadium full of them.
Yes.
Beyonce, as you said, is a pop, R&B. Yes. This album is for the children, okay?
Yes, it is.
If y'all don't know,
for the kids.
It's for the kids. Catch them. For the girls. It's for the girls. And for me, many songs in there, my first reaction was to the DJ Jimmy. Like I was like, okay, you got whole lyrics and phrases. I hope DJ Jimmy got his check. And I'm glad he got his check because I know Frida, everybody was so enamored with Big Frida being on Break My Soul. And so I'm like, yes, but Frida's not the only one featured on Break My Soul, right? So there's so many, and Beyonce has Louisiana roots as well.
Yes.
So there's so many artists that we grew up hearing and listening to that that for me it was like, okay, none of this is original.
Correct.
Right? None of it is original. So for people to be up in arms, it's like, what did you expect from Beyonce? Yeah.
But Beyonce is also, but she was also raised in the church. And so I think this idea that, so title Church Girl, this idea that a church girl is one thing, is a monolith, is a mischaracterization. At the end of the day, there's all sorts of church girls. Again, you just mentioned that we know each other from the fact that Becky's father was our minister, and we were close and working in the YPD, help babysit Becky and things like that. So there are different types of church girls. I'm sure not. Maybe it's different from when Becky was at Southern, but when I was at Southern, there were some church girls who clearly were very excited to be away from home.
Yes, absolutely. So, absolutely.
Every church girl ain't the same. And Beyonce, and I guarantee her church in Houston has never had a problem accepting the checks that she's written to.
Correct. As far as I know, everyone featured on the album with a credit got a really good check, except for Khalees because she ran her mouth. But that's a whole other topic. But everyone got their checks, as far as I know.
Right. Well, see, and the whole thing with Khalees is a whole nother topic, and we'll bring on an IP attorney to talk about that, or a copyright attorney, because the thing is, she didn't have the writing credit on the original song anyway, and
Correct.
that's probably where that went right.
Yep.
But it is Queen Bee's birthday. I'm gonna say happy birthday to that queen, and we're gonna go from that queen to this queen. So we got to talk
Yes.
about Serena, who um ended her run at the U.S. Open this year. It was a phenomenal run to see her and Venus in the doubles as well. She
Mm-hmm.
wanted to play doubles. She asked her big sister to come play doubles with her, and she did. And it was never about winning. It was never about getting to the finals. At least not for me. It was
Right.
all about going out on your own terms, and she did that. And I was just like let's snap it up for the sister, because she
Yes.
did that. Yes, she
Yeah.
did that. She did that. And if you haven't seen the tribute, we're gonna drop it in the comments. So if you want to go and check out the Nike tribute, go out and check out the Nike tribute with Serena. The ad is beautifully done. And I do appreciate, as she said, if it was not for Venus, there would not be Serena, because both of those young women, and we know it from the movie King Richard,
Mm-hmm.
but those of us who were there in the beginning, like I
Right.
remember the scrutiny and the vitriol that Venus had to take before Serena even hit the court.
Right.
And so to have endured what they've endured, and to be at 40 and 42 and still be competitive
Yes.
when most of the people the people they're competing with now, watch them growing up, because all the chicks that they competed against long retired.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
I
You're
mean,
right.
long, because I was like, well, where is Martina Hingis and Steffi Graf and
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Capriati, and where are the ones who were there, teenagers with them? Them chicks all gone. Lindsay Davenport, where you at, girl? Been bent,
Right.
sat down.
What's the one who never won anything, but she always got Anna Kournikova?
Yeah.
Maria Sharapova.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Anna Kournikova who was the one who got.
Two of them Russian chicks, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How about that?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
she wound up getting in a relationship with Enrique Iglesias, and they had some children together, so her money was straight, so she didn't really have to do anything. So it was like, all right, whatever. And then she just went off into retirement land. So, like
Yeah.
Demetria said, though, a lot of those ladies, they just kind of disappeared, and Venus and Serena, they still out there getting it. So
Mm-hmm.
hats off to them.
Even though Serena didn't do too bad for herself in the marriage financial category.
That part. That part.
You're tuning in live with Hey Sister. We have a special episode that we're doing tonight, and we are just so excited, because trust me, we weren't coming back to the 18th, but so much is happening out here in the world. So we just like, let's just come back and give the people a little flavor. So
Yes.
so from the church girl to the Serena, who's another church girl, because y'all know they grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just leave that right there. There is some disturbing news out there in the news right now regarding the comedians Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, where they are being sued. Now, when this story first broke, I thought it was still about Aries Spears and the comments he made about Lizzo. So I didn't even get it. And then I started doing a little more investigating, kind of got dug down into it a little bit deeper. And I did not watch the video.
Okay.
But there is allegations regarding a skit, or a more than one skit, or videos that they were producing for comedic purposes, where they had young children involved. And those children, one is now an adult, the other is still a child, have they said they've been traumatized. They felt like they were being groomed, and they were being used in a inappropriate way.
Okay.
So I don't know, sister, what say you on this topic?
Well, as many of you know, I don't always keep up with what's going on in the society that we live. And so my sister told me about it and told me to go on Twitter. And so when I went on Twitter, I actually inadvertently watched the video, not knowing exactly what the controversy actually entailed. And so I watched the video. I will say that if it was meant to be funny, it was not funny. It was very disturbing. Um, but that being said, should any children be subjected to something like that? No, they shouldn't. Um, Now, I'm not a lawyer, so based on the law, is that is what happened going to rise to the legal, I guess,
Threshold.
definition of
Mhm.
of predatory behavior or pedophilia or molestation? I don't know that that will happen either. I will say that, you know, when comedians are up and rising up, and Ari
Mhm.
Spears, look, he's been around. Well, Tiffany Haddish too, but I remember Ari Spears from, dare I say, Def Comedy Jam, dating
Right.
myself, right? But
The original Def Comedy Jam, not the
the
reboot,
one,
not the
no, the
three.
Not the
one with
reboot.
Martin, yeah, the
Not
one with Martin
yeah,
Lawrence.
not the
Yeah.
reboot when Tiffany was on. Because I was like, girl, I don't even know who you is. Like what?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but from the original one, and interestingly, he used to do a lot of jokes about
Bill
Bill
Cosby.
Cosby. But anyway, and now, all of those things come back to haunt you. Number one, because there was
Mhm.
I guess, a skit that Tiffany Haddish did about bring your kids to work day, and saying how she's like, oh, little boy, you look good, and oh, you cute. Wait till you grow up, kind of thing. I say all that to just say I know a lot of comedians try to go for the shock value.
Yeah.
And my understanding is the intention of this video was supposed to be uncomfortable, because it was supposed to be like PSA like, and at the end there was something about don't let everybody watch your kids, or you can't let everybody watch your kids.
Mhm.
Um, but again, if you're 7 years old and
Right.
you're put in this situation, you don't know what lights, camera, action, and you don't, that's not who you are. That's not what
Right.
you understand. Then I could see how it could be a traumatizing experience.
What say you, Becky?
I didn't watch it. I wasn't interested in watching it. I again, because I'm on social media a lot, I see a lot of comments, I see a lot of posts and a lot of things like that. So certain things don't really pique my interest. But once I kind of get the gist of what's behind the post, I'm like, nah, I'm not rocking with that. I'm not. I'm not really a fan of Aries Spears like that. I'm not really a fan of Tiffany Haddish like that. So it wasn't anything that I was just like, oh my god, not my favorite comic. I was just kind of like, that's messed up. Um, and just reading some of the backstory of the video, which was recorded maybe years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know, like 6, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, and it was a part of Funny or Die, that whole little series where they were just doing shock value videos and, like Christina said, PSA type videos. Um, and so when I was reading up about it, I was under the impression that it was happening currently, like it had just happened. And I was like, what? Why are they doing this? Like and so I find it disturbing. I did think, like Christina said, it had something to do with the whole Lizzo situation. And one thing I think that people tend to forget is that where there's smoke, there's a fire somewhere. And so once people start to dig into your comments, especially when you're making negative comments against a superstar like Lizzo, her fans are going to start finding something. They're going to pounce. They're going to start doing their research. And that's exactly what happened, because I mean, Aries Spears has been basically out of sight, out of mind for like ever. Like, I don't even know what happened to him after Mad TV. So it was just kind of like,
I mean, he has a social
where did he come
media
back?
presence,
But
but
even with that, like,
yeah.
who, I didn't know that. Like,
Mhm.
so
Right.
I just think overall the video, Mad TV even back, I'm not Mad TV, I'm sorry. Funny or Die was like, yo, we're not rocking with this. And like they took their name off of it. And so the video essentially was buried, but other people had seen it. Enough people had seen it to remember the video to go back to it and pull it up. So here we are now, it's 2022, having to have a conversation again about this video. Now, criminal charges, absolutely. I don't care who you are. You just
this is a civil lawsuit. That's the thing. It's a civil lawsuit. So there's always that question, right?
There's the money part. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The money part, for sure.
So here's the thing. Read the information. We dropped the article in the comments. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and take a look, read it, see, make your own, formulate your own opinion about it. But I think the key point is that, if you did something years ago, it will stay with you. Yes. And it appears that the mother was trying to bring this for a while, and it did not go anywhere. Also, there are times when you do things and, growing your career, trying to do funny stuff and what have you.
Yes. And
you may have done harm. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you really may have done harm. It may not have been the intent.
Right.
It may have been the purpose. You probably had permission from the mother, like, oh, well, yeah, you can use my kids and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know what compensation was or anything like that. In, legal agreements. Bottom line is, get your stuff in order. Like, everybody, get your stuff in order and protect your kids.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. Bottom line. Absolutely.
But I think, as we talked about, we talked about Church Girl. Mm-hmm. We talked about this story, and y'all are tuned in live right now with Hey Sister. We want you to be involved in the comments. Y'all really quiet out there tonight. Hello.
They didn't know we were coming back.
I know y'all didn't know we was coming back. It's all good. Y'all quiet out there in the comments. But it segues and leads us into what we really said we were going to dive in deep tonight on, and that is Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul.
Yes.
We will try not to do spoilers. I'm going to try to show the preview.
I'm okay with spoilers. I mean,
at this point, either you or you have it.
And if you haven't seen it, then don't watch this show until after you've seen it.
Pause.
Yes, pause it now and then watch it and then come back and finish us later.
There we go.
Finish watching our show later. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try to share this, but I have the headphones in, so I'm not sure if the sound is going to transmit. So if it doesn't transmit, then
we'll let you know. But right now,
y'all let me know. All right. Here we go. Here we go.
This is going to chronicle the ultimate comeback. Showtime. I'm still fly.
I just want to clarify some things before we get started. Every woman is not built for the great responsibility of being a first lady.
Pastor Lee Curtis Childs faces allegations of misconduct. His megachurch may never be the same.
Lee Curtis and we're going to get to the other side.
You there? Yeah, with the big old microphone. Come in closer, son. You gonna see what all the fuss is about. Showtime.
What's up? Fresh as out of turn, baby.
Lee Curtis is a talent, a star. Oh, boy.
We can edit around that, right? This is gonna chronicle the ultimate comeback. I'm Rocky up in this fight.
Rocky didn't win.
But he did win in Rocky 2. Lord, baby, how many times I got to tell you, get past the first movie? That was all set up.
He is just so wrong. He needs someone to harness it all. Oh, bless your heart. I'm sure plenty of the old congregation will come right on back through good old Wands the Greater Pat's door. You have a blessed one. Oh, my goodness. And you have a blessed...
I'm a sinner, but I'm no criminal.
We need you back in that pulpit so you can get me back on that stage.
You ain't really getting that many babes, baby.
Shake Shake it for the Lord. Shake it for the Lord. I said, shake it for the Lord. In the house for the Lord. All those folks out there who are going to see this, I want them to know that I did what I was supposed to do.
I just don't see how that's possible.
All things are possible with God. That's Matthew 19:26.
Yes, it is.
So that's good. You can cut.
In theaters and streaming only on Peacock September 2nd.
All righty. Listen,
Yes.
I'm laughing at the trailer still. So,
Well, that's part of the issue.
So this conversation here, I kind of don't even know where all to start. But I want to say this. Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown are phenomenal actors.
Yes.
They have
absolutely.
mastered their craft.
Yes.
And if you are not a fan of mockumentary style shows like The Office or Modern Family or any of those type of shows where they break the third wall and talk directly to the camera, and it's like we're filming a documentary, like there's somebody following. If you're not a fan of those type of shows and that type of style, then you might not like this. But that does not take away from their delivery, because their delivery in the roles is like spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say that up front. So let's talk about that first. What do y'all think about their performances?
Well, I was gonna say when I said that's the problem. I think they are funny in that trailer. We all laughed, and I think a lot of people went into this film expecting it to be a comedy,
yes,
about growing up in the church, based on those clips, even though it said clearly there was a scandal, right, that occurred. I think, Regina Hall's and Sterling K. Brown's delivery in those very short clips were just so good and so funny that people expected that this was going to be something they walked away from laughing and, really belly laughing. And it wasn't. And I think that's part of the reason it's a challenge. But the delivery, again, I want to turn it over to the expert, right? Because listen, when she said people don't understand the responsibility that comes with being a first lady, let me tell you who decided a long time ago that she could not be a first lady. Mm-hmm. I said, because you know what? I can't promise you I'm going to make it to church every Sunday. And sometimes in the middle of the week, sometimes on Saturday, you got to volunteer, all of those things. Mm-hmm. So add that extra layer of, like you said, being able to keep that face, those facial expressions, to smile through when you want to scream, to always seem buttoned up no matter the situation. I think they delivered. I think Regina Hall definitely delivered on that. Listen, this is the woman. I don't know about everybody else out there, but this is the woman who we were first introduced to as Candy, the stripper.
Come on, sister. Come on, sister.
Yes.
Come on, sister.
When I see what this sister has done in terms of her acting career, I mean, she just hosted the Oscars. And I know the Oscars was overshadowed by other things, but she just hosted the Oscars. This sister is a great comedy and drama actress.
Yes.
Actor, because we just make it, genderless. And so is Sterling K. Brown. Some people are upset because Randall Pearson wasn't on the screen.
Correct.
But baby, Sterling K. Brown played Lee Curtis.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And if you haven't seen Nine Perfect Strangers on Hulu, Regina plays in that one as well. You need to watch it. The sister got range in the acting.
Mhm.
So we just talking about the acting right now, Becky. What you think about the performances?
I thought it was really good. Like you know, like you both said, they were in the moment. They were method. They were very much like they embodied their roles. You know, they took it on, and it was almost believable. Like it was definitely them, that, you know, we were watching a film about them and not a conglomerate of church ministries from like the last 40 years. My first introduction to Regina was on Scary Movie with the Wayans brothers. I mean, of course, The Best Man, but I remember her being in Scary Movie. Like, I remember that clear as day. And then with Sterling K. Brown, when he played the attorney, oh my gosh, on The People versus O.J. Simpson. Christopher Darden. That was my first introduction to him. And then to see him as Randall Pearson, I was like, oh, that's the same guy. But overall, just great method actors. I enjoyed the film for what it was. I didn't have any expectations of it. I didn't go in thinking, oh, they're going to bash the church. Oh, it's going to be a glorified church film. Like, I wanted to see what it was about. I thought the title was catchy, Honk For Jesus, Save Your Soul. Like, I thought that was, you know, very clever because it drew people in. You know, it drew, if you're in church, if you're not in church, you've ever been to church, never been to church, you still want to see it. You want to know what it was about. So I think the overall trailer package was very, very, very clever with drawing people in.
Yes.
And the music.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Shout out to Louisiana again. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Because y'all don't know about them boys. Y'all don't know about
the big timers. Come on, big timers.
What happened to that boy, huh? Come on. Y'all didn't catch that reference? Just go look it up. Okay, so we talked about the acting. Now let's talk about comedy versus dramedy.
Yes.
I think everyone should have been clued in that it was going to have a turn and have some darkness, because it said executive producer Jordan Peele.
Yes. Exactly.
Now, when you saw executive producer Jordan Peele and David Kaluuya, I probably say it again.
Kaluuya.
It's gonna take me a second to get it. Daniel. Gotcha. You like, oh, okay, Get Out. Okay, we know how that took a turn.
Yes.
Let's see. I didn't watch Nope. Sister saw Nope. She told me Nope on Nope. So
yeah, that was a nope for me.
Right. You want to talk about
was a nope.
Us. Like there's so many things, but we know that, and it said Scandal, so that should have been, you know, as I know education ain't what it used to be, but when I took English class, my teacher always said look for context clues.
The clues, right.
There was a lot of context clues for us. So
yes,
dramedy, comedy. Okay, all right. We in agreement on that. We can touch and agree. Amen.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's go to one of the things you said, Becky. Churches from the last 40 years. So my sister and I, we started talking about the number. So we went way back in the time. Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Right.
The original gangster.
Hello.
Jimmy Swaggart.
Hello.
Do y'all remember Jimmy Swaggart? If you're out there and you remember Jimmy Swaggart, and I have sinned. Jimmy's still on TV right now.
He sure is.
There was a whole movie about Tammy Faye Baker recently. Excellent movie. Jennifer Chastain transformed.
Jessica, girl, what are you doing with these names today?
Girl, I'm killing. I'm killing the names tonight. I'm not prepared. Jessica Chastain. That's my girl from The Help and everything.
Yep.
Listen. I remember the whole whatever C, what was it called? What were they? You know, they built this whole thing here in Orlando called Holy Land. PTL. Okay, y'all remember that too? So we had y'all don't remember Jim and Tammy when they had got arrested?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Let's bring it to modern times.
Okay.
We talked about Hillsong.
Yes.
I wrote some things down, sister. I'm gonna give you a few of them.
Okay, come on, break them down, sister.
Because you know I don't usually prepare, but I had to tonight.
Come on, Pen. Yes.
Because I wanted to understand The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Jessica Chastain, The Righteous Gemstones, which John Goodman played, also a dramedy, if you will, on HBO. We had Greenleaf.
Yes.
All the blacks loved the Greenleaf.
Absolutely.
We had the movie Doubt with Viola Davis and Meryl Streep and Amy Adams and Philip Seymour Hoffman. That was about the Catholic Church, so maybe that's a little different. And then when we started looking at some of the documentaries of late, Hillsong, A Mega Church Exposed, that documentary. We had Scientology in the Aftermath that Leah Remini did. And we had Going Clear, Scientology in the Prison of Belief. So those were just a few I noted down right before the start of this, because I just didn't understand why the reaction to this particular show or movie, feature film, has been what it's been. But Doubt wasn't a great look for the Catholic Church. But we know.
Well, it's us as a people. You know, we're very protective of our pastors. We're very protective of our churches. Don't you dare say nothing bad about my pastor. Don't you dare say nothing bad about my church. And so for it to be in your face for the world to see, it was kind of like I said before, you know, over the last, I'm 39. So over the last 40 years that I can remember, and it's probably years beyond, you know, it's been the scandal, and the scandals weren't the best. It was, you know, either about money or extramarital relationships or pedophilia or just things that were so negative. And so now it's like you're making a mockery of it for the world to see it, and we don't like it. The other part is you have so many people in more recent years, like in the last, I don't know, let's say yesterday to like the last 10 years of things in the Black church that have come out after, you know, repeatedly. You had, you know, things in Atlanta going on, things in LA going on. And so now it's like you're putting it out for other ethnicities to see that, you know, we have those same issues going on in the Black church as well, and we don't find it funny.
Well, you know, so that's an interesting point, because, you know, the movie Spotlight won how many Oscars? That was about the Catholic Church too. We also had recently the whole thing about the Southern Baptist Convention, like the lawsuits that are coming out against them now. So like you said, the church they've been taking some bowls these last few these, you know, it's like they keep coming. And I think that, to me, this movie is an opportunity for introspection and self-reflection, and especially for those who are believers, are you following Jesus or the man in the pulpit?
Absolutely.
You know, because as we watch in Sterling K. Brown's character, it was about him. And it's going to be my return, rebuilding the, you know, so, and we've seen that. We just saw that with, dare I say, John Gray recently. Like, you know, him and his wife, and it's like, and his wife was sitting there next to him, and you like, girl, for real, you sitting there listening to this, and you not feeling like that, and kept that face like Regina Hall's character did. Her character, right? because it was she's a character playing a role. But she kept all of that in, and then for just scandal upon scandal upon scandal.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you, Becky, you explaining it the way you did. I guess, like I said, it's one thing that we always say that secrets kill, right?
Yes.
There are so many people who are holding on to secrets and things that from the that they've experienced, that they're saying nothing about. And I think it does our congregants a disservice, and it does people outside of the walls of the church to do it. It does them a disservice when we cannot say, even as Christians, we make mistakes, or not even mistakes. We make bad choices.
Yes.
Some Christians also commit sins and criminal acts as well.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean that you may fall out of grace with humankind, right? And that's the price you have to pay. But that doesn't mean that your relationship with Christ necessarily has to change.
Right.
It should make you be a better person. Maybe you should strive to be better and do better. And so, to your point, one of the realizations that came for me in watching this movie, again, never could be a first lady, but so often we do look at first ladies that have stood by their men in these situations and like, girl, you're just gonna sit there? What you doing? You need to chunk the deuces and be out. But to hear Regina Hall, who again, people want to criticize this movie and criticize the I guess the points that were being made, the theme or what have you, and plot points. But she said some things that really struck us. Like, I helped build all of this.
Yes.
That is my husband. This is my church. I put all my sweat, blood, and tears into this situation too. Why should I have to walk away? Because he did what he did. And I think that was something that I never really thought about until she said that. So I think these, like you said, Demetria, it opens the door for introspection, reflection, and conversation.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do that. But if every time there's a scandal, it's like, cover it up. Nobody needs to say anything about it. Then that's just going to fester and grow.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that is interesting to me. Because again, Greenleaf wasn't, I didn't watch it. I watched like the first season, but I didn't watch after that.
Girl, I watched all of Greenleaf.
I feel like there was adultery. There was homosexuality.
Yes.
There was some folks getting killed.
Yeah.
So all of those things,
money laundering, you name it, there was all in it. Yes.
So how is Greenleaf seen as, well, how is that beloved and not seen as a mockery of the church?
Yeah.
Right.
But this is.
But we're asking you that, preacher kid.
I think with Greenleaf, because it was, well, first of all, anything that Oprah touches turns to gold. So I think with Greenleaf, we were already knowing it was going to be packaged well. It was going to be presented very well. Even with the actors and just how they presented themselves in the characters, like they were very well dressed. They were very well spoken. They weren't caricatures, and they weren't buffoonery in a sense. Like the movie is a little borderline buffoonery based off of the comments that I read. I didn't feel that way, but I think with Greenleaf being packaged the way it was, we were able to digest it better because it was put together so nice and pretty. Whereas even though their messages was, like you said, about one episode being on adultery and another episode someone was killed and another, and secrets. With the movie Honk For Jesus, it was like almost the first scene, like just all the way through. it took you on this ride of Lee Curtis being a narcissistic, it was about himself. He kept saying, I save souls, I save souls. And it was like, no, you're a conduit, but you don't save souls. And just watching the evolution of how their church never really, it kind of left off to where it never, it didn't show where their church really was able to bounce back from the scandals. And then another thing about that is, in my friend group, we were talking about it, and it was trying to piece together, well, who is this about? Is it about this person? Is it about that person? Is it about this bishop, that bishop? And I was just like, I think it's about a combination of everybody that's been in some type of scandal, whether you knew it or not, because I don't think scandals change based upon the denomination. I mean, from what I know, they've all kind of been the same about money and
sex, drugs, and rock and roll, honey.
Yeah, it was just like, it was the same thing. And so trying to say, oh, it was about bishop this person, bishop that person, I don't want to call names, but I was just like, no, I think it's about all of them. And so and I think from all of that, like Christina said about keeping things bottled up, I think that's where the church hurt movement has come from, where people are like, I don't go to church, I don't belong to church, I don't believe in church, I don't want anything to do with church because I'm church hurt. Something happened to me. But like I said, you can't don't dare talk bad about the pastor. Don't say the pastor did anything wrong. Don't talk bad about the church. And so people feel like, oh, I can't say anything because this church has been in my family for generations, and everyone loves everyone in my church and my family, whatever. So that church hurt is bottled within. And I think this movie kind of helps to bring about conversation about if you are, if you have been abused, mistreated, not necessarily sexually abused, but just abused by the words that people say. I mean, the interaction between Regina's character and the church member in the mall, it was just kind of like, I see you, you see me, like I can't I can't hide from you because we clearly see each other. So it's just like, hey,
that nice nasty,
and
yeah,
nasty.
And
but also again, as the wife, a lot of wives get the short end of the stick, basically.
Correct.
They are judged and they are looked at as less. I mean, okay, let's just talk about this. The hat situation, for example. Now, this man has done all these things that have negatively impacted his church, his family, that has caused scandal, and he's worried about the hat that she wears.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make them look
bad. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I think if people just look on the surface, if you just skim the top, and you just see the production value, because some people said it was poorly done. Well, again, it's in that
mockumentary. It's like they're filming a documentary. It's the behind the scenes. It's not the edited version, like the final cut.
Exactly. It's supposed to be in that single camera comedy type.
Exactly.
Again, Abbott Elementary does it. Modern Family does it. Again, The Office did it.
The Office, yeah.
That's the style that it was in. So that was not a good one for me. But if you're just looking at the very top of the surface and you're not trying to go deeper into the conversations that are being had, to have a woman, because at the end of the day, is it about
Lee Curtis,
or is it about Trinity? And when Trinity's mother, and she and her mom have that conversation, how many times, take church out of it, how many times have mothers directly, indirectly, inadvertently told their daughters, you need to stay with that good man.
Because look at what you got.
Because look at what you have.
Yes.
How many times? So think about abusive relationships. Girl, what are you complaining about? You wouldn't have none of this if it weren't for that good man.
Correct.
So I guess I just really wonder why, again, this thing, because you even use the word that I saw a few times, buffoonery. And I have to ask, what makes it buffoonery? Because I see ministers behaving like that. Maybe they're not clapping their hands saying showtime.
Yes.
But they are.
They fucking themselves up behind the stage before they come out. That's why they back there, and we got to have an hour of praise and worship before they even come
That's
out.
it.
And if y'all don't think they're listening to Nuck If You Buck back there, you're wrong.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Listen,
their rendition of Nuck If You Buck was like, that was comedy gold for me. I was
absolutely.
Like, it was phenomenal.
I thought that, like, it gave a realness. And so here's the thing. As a preacher's daughter, people automatically assume that I'm going to want to marry a pastor, or that I would be a great first lady because I already have that experience, I guess, in a sense. And I'm like, well, it's not really experience because I've never been a first lady, but whatever. And so just some of the realness in their conversations of how they were talking to each other, you know, when they were on their one-on-one. And, you know, like you said, the scene in the car where they were just like having their jam session, like it was just the two of them in their space. I think people have to, I'm gonna just say it like this. People have to realize that pastors, ministers, preachers, bishops, elders, whatever you want to call yourself, title-wise, apostles or whatever, they have a realistic element to themselves. They are human beings, you know. Just like we as women, we have that song that's gonna get us hyped. You know, we going out with the girls, we might play All the Single Ladies, you know, just whatever it is, just something that kind of gets us ready. And so I think to show them in the car doing Nuck If You Buck was just kind of like, oh, that's a jam. Like that's how they get, you know, kind of reconnect. The other part I wanted to mention was, you know, when Regina's character Trinity was talking to her mom, like Christina said, and the mom was just like, you know, I went to the Bible and I prayed about your daddy. Every time I went to the Bible and I prayed. And when Trinity said, well, when did you stop? And she said, the day I buried him. Yeah. I was like, wow. So it's like the mom already know what's up. You know, she's telling her daughter, like, you have to stick it out because you don't want to lose all of the things that you have. It's not going to end. He's always going to be who he is. Like Christina said, how many times have women redirected their daughters into that because of look at what you have, not look at, you know, who you are. You're more valuable as a person than this 5,000 square foot home or these fancy cars or whatever. And I just really want people to kind of stop and think on that part. Like, yo, we have to find a better way to redirect our girls or our daughters, you know, when they're going through something, instead of looking at the financial part of it or the glamorous part of it, and be really concerned about them as women.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, both of you have made some really beautiful points, and I would encourage anyone who has not, or who may have looked at it and just looked at it at the surface, go back and look at it again with a more critical eye and open mind, because there are so many messages that are delivered. And the fact that, in your friend group, they were like, well, is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? Should let us know that there's a problem. Like Houston, we got a problem, because it could be so many. Now, I know who I think some of it is about. And Atlanta is ripe with the megas.
Yeah.
But we just said 40 years of this, regardless of race, regardless of denomination, regardless of Protestant or Catholic.
Right.
These scandals and the people who hold up, whether it's the church as a system, they are only human, and they're going through real human things.
Yes.
And I think that, I'm with you, sister. I think the movie really was about the wife more so than it was about the husband, because I think the message is they gonna keep wilding.
Well, and of course, the whole, like we talked about this, the whole mime thing. Again, I mean, you have to laugh because, again, first of all, how many of us have seen? You talking about the last 40 years or so, the evolution
Of
and
praise dancing.
expansion of the praise dancing.
And I have
And
Oh
seen
my
praise
God.
mimes.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let me just say this. I do not like moms in church. I don't like step teams in church. It's something about it. Just I'm like, I don't understand the purpose. Leave the step teams for the fraternities and sororities, but that's just my opinion. And I just like, oh my God.
agreed. And but just saying again, how much of this was about Trinity versus Lee Curtis? That whole point of when, again, when that smile starts to fade
Yeah.
and the realization of, oh, he's okay making a fool of me. And it's
Mhm.
not just making a fool of me. Yes, it's like this is the literal
Mask.
personification of somebody having you put on a mask and perform.
Yes.
But that's what's been happening all this time. Now
The
I'll tell you
symbolism. Mm-hmm.
the
Mhm.
symbolism
Yeah.
exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe people are upset because they're missing that part. But I also think, look, I think hit dogs will holler. And I think some people don't. We literally just had a man who was exposed because he was asking for a Movado watch. He was making his church members feel bad about not being able to afford to buy him a Movado watch. Then he came back and apologized. We had this minister in New York going on live to show all his designer clothes, and he supposedly has been robbed of $40,000 in jewelry, and I think the price tag keeps going up as
Right.
all of these things, like Demetria said, in your friend group, it's so many people we could point to. We know. I mean, and I'm gonna say this name. Creflo Dollar just recently did a sermon about. I guess he had a revelation about when he asked for a dance,
Right.
and perhaps that wasn't the right thing to ask for.
Right.
So it's so many different people and circumstances, and it's not just the Black ministers.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Osteen's church had 600, whatever the amount was, stuffed
In the wall. Right.
Baby, the average Black church needs that money. It can't be in the wall. We need that money
Yes.
to pay for the building fund.
Absolutely.
So we can't have that in the walls of the church. So it's not. It's multi-layered, and it hits across all aspects of the church. And I think the ultimate lesson is that as people, we're not perfect. Yes. But if we are true followers of Christ, then that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be striving to be better, but we're never going to be that. We're never going to be that. And so while we're here, are we helping as many people as we can, or are we just focused on ourselves? Is it just about us and our limelight? Now, I will say, I told my sister, the only thing that I found to be the most unrealistic aspect of this movie was that the estimated population of the congregation was 25,000, and it got down to 5. I said, that's unrealistic. It would have never gotten down to 5. If anything, 5 might have left. You might have lost 5,000. Yeah. But I don't know that it would have got all the way down to 5, because there are churches that have been rocked by scandal, and you would think that they would have imploded, and they have not.
Well, so, that was a church with this very similar scandal in Atlanta that didn't stop going. Did some people leave? Yes. Were there some new churches formed? Yes. But under that still name, now that leader is no longer with us and deceased, under a new leader who also has his own set of scandals,
Becky, it is thriving. I'm not saying nobody's name.
I didn't say nobody's name either.
She didn't. I'm not.
I didn't call a name. I'm just saying it's thriving.
It's thriving.
It has the same name.
But I think though, See, and I'm not making any type of pivots or excuses because of association to that particular ministry, let's say. I think though sometimes the calling and the anointing is greater than the human side of it. That even though, you know, people sin and fall and have their own issues morally, the God part of it is still so much greater, and that it still draws people and it still pulls people. Because like you said, it's not just the black church. I mean, it's all types of churches. And so, because like you guys mentioned earlier, Jimmy Swagger's down the street from me. He still has his campus that is full on Sundays, you know, and people are still going there after 50 years. And, you know, his children have come through, his grandchildren, I think, are now, you know, in leadership there. And like people are still giving, and he's still on the radio and still doing all of the things that he does. And so I think people, they kind of put the human part, the human era side of it to the side, and then they just focus on the ministry. But for me, I'm a little different. I'm just kind of like, oh, that's what you do in your private time? Oh, okay. But in addition to that, you know, I've been in situations where people in leadership, bishops, elders, pastors, well-known pastors, have like tried to hit on me. And I'm just kind of like, what? Like, what are you doing? And it didn't give me church hurt, but it just kind of gave me a pause of concern, like, ew. And this is what you do? Like this, like really? Like, you know my daddy. Like, what are you doing? You know, just stuff like that. And so I think we have to have the conversation over and over and over again until people feel comfortable just saying, yes, this happened to me, and it not be a money grab. Everything is not because you said this to me, or you did this to me, or you text me this, I need to sue you for $25,000, $1 million, whatever. It's just kind of like, no, let me put you on Front Street so that you can work out your own soul salvation, so that you're not out there just being reckless. But your ministry, you're still healing and you're still saving souls. Yes, but you as a person, you have to get yourself together, because eventually that anointing is going to run out.
I think that is a great place to put a pin in it. So, Becky, tell the people where they can find you. You have your branding behind you, so tell them where they can find you. And yeah, tell us all the places we can find you.
Yes, you can find me at www.jeanellencollection.com. That has all of the links to all of my social media, as well as just about me, who I am, what I'm doing. You can follow me on Instagram at Jean Ellen Collection. I post reels and videos of food, and I'm a foodie, so I like to go out to eat a lot of places. You can always catch me Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, on the Jamal Bates Morning Show. If you don't live in the South Carolina area, you can download the Spirit Radio app and you can listen live there every morning. I do a segment on Thursdays on Instagram Live called Touch Chase Thursdays, where I'm interviewing just different entrepreneurs, just people that are of interest to me. And so September 15th, I'll be back. My guest then will be Miss Chastity Pritchett. She's the owner of Emblem Olive Oil, which is a Black-owned, woman-owned olive oil brand. And so I'm very excited to have her on, because I've been using olive oil for almost a year now, and I enjoy it. So I always post about it when I'm doing reels, when I'm cooking or whatever. So she's going to be on, and that's September 15th at 8 p.m. Central on Instagram Live.
All right.
Very nice.
Yes. Well, anything you want to leave the people in closing, because you kind of already just dropped the mic, but I love everything that you just said. But anything you want to leave the folks out here with in closing?
I mean, people are going to have their opinions about church. They're going to have, anytime you mention church, I mean, it's like people are going to go up in arms. Their antennas are going to be up. They're immediately going to have some type of resistance to it. I think that we have to understand entertainment, and we also have to understand real life. And that, you know, art imitates life. these ideas don't just pop up because, people are sitting at home behind the desk and like, oh, I'm going to create this. No, it's coming from something. Someone has researched and found where this is a pattern, that is a pattern. So let's create something about it. Let's talk about it. And I think that we don't give a lot of our actors such as Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall the credit that they're due for bringing this to the forefront, because again, it's creating conversation. We're having a conversation about it. Social media has been a buzz all weekend about it. So they're creating the conversations to talk about church, to talk about church hurt, to talk about their experiences with church, about first ladies, and if their first lady is like that and whatever another. And I just want us to keep an open mind, and to also just have conversations with our children. We talked about the Tiffany Haddish and Ari Spears situation. Is anyone has anyone approached you in a manner that's incorrect or that you felt disrespected? Like just having conversations and just talking and just seeing where people are and respecting their boundary, respecting how they feel about something, whether they, agree with you or not, it's okay. But at the end of the day, we are all just trying to be better the day before and the day after and the day after so that we can continue this thing called life in love and peace. And just be us. Just do what we do. Because I always tell people, the Lord knows me. My mom and my daddy know me. So therefore, so what you see is what you get. So my parents know who they raised. So don't be surprised, when you see certain things or whatever. But that's just really it. Just not take everything so seriously. Let's just have conversations and just get a better understanding.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That was beautifully said. Sister, what about you? What do you want to say to the folks in closing?
Well, first I want to say, Becky, thank you so much. I'm going to call you Becky, but Rebekah. Thank you so much. Years ago when we learned that you were returning home, because we said, your father moved from Thibodeau, you all moved from Thibodeau to Baton Rouge, but we didn't say that you ultimately left from Baton Rouge and moved to Indiana or Illinois. Indiana.
Yes.
Indianapolis. Yes. And so when your father mentioned you were going to come back home to go to college, it was something that I was very delighted to hear, especially, of course, at my alma mater, the Southern University in Indiana College. That being said, I thank you so much for being here. I love your perspective. I hope we can have you on again to talk more about Jean Ellen. And then I would just close in saying that, look, like you said, art imitates life. People write about and create based on things that they know or things that they've seen. If this film has gotten under people's skin, if it really bothers them, instead of criticizing the film and the filmmakers, let's ask ourselves, how can we be better? How can we be better as human beings? How can we be better as the body of Christ? How can we be better as churchgoers? Because right now, as you put in your post, the Saints, it's been tough. It's been tough on the Saints. And I ain't talking about the New Orleans ones that play. It's been tough. And so because, and I think that's partially because there are so many people who are calling themselves followers of Christ, but their behavior is not demonstrating that. None of us are perfect. We all fall short of the glory. So let's look at this as an opportunity to be better.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic, sister. Well, I too am going to say thank you, Becky. Thank you for, putting the post out there to even start this conversation and kind of having us a little interruption into our summer hiatus because I think the fact, as you mentioned, that there is so much conversation means that they did a brilliant piece of art, a brilliant piece of entertainment, because there is so much conversation. And I think each of us have not only an opportunity, but an obligation to search within ourselves of what is bubbling up and what are those feelings and what is really at the heart of some of the reaction that we're having, and maybe go look at it again with our third eye and be critical. And we as a people, so I'm going to specifically talk about Black people in the Black church and just Black people in general. We have to be able to critically examine one another and we have to be able to call out each other on our stuff and not feel like it's all of our stuff, right? Because I think that's part of what gets us sometimes is like, well, they making us look bad. No. They ain't making us look bad. This is a critical examination of some real stuff.
Right.
What are we going to do about that? And I think it is also an opportunity for any of us who may be in a place where individual humans are being exalted.
Yep.
Versus Christ being exalted, to then check ourselves like, am I contributing to that? Am I playing a part in that? And then how can I make shifts so that really the one who saves the souls is honored? So with that, I thank y'all for watching. If you watch live, if you watch it in the replay, if you're listening to it on the podcast, wherever you catching this episode, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight to Hey Sister. Make sure you follow Rebekah at the Jean Ellen Collection on all the social platforms. Make sure you listen to her on the radio, on the Jamal Bates show. You got to get up early in the morning, but I'm sure you can go get a replay of it as well. But just thank you so much for being here. And maybe next time we'll have your dad come on.
Oh, he would love that. He would love that. Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Well, y'all wave to everybody. Say good night, everybody. And y'all hold the line.